INEC suspends over 200 staff and 70 others referred for further investigation as the controversy of a 24 billion naira 2015 election bribery scandal rages. And for the first time since returning from a 50-day medical vacation in the United Kingdom, President Muhammadu Buhari was today absent at Federal Executive Council meeting with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo presiding. Federal government speaks about the president's state of health. That's our focus tonight on the program. Many thanks for joining in, everyone. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbaloye in Lagos. Let's begin tonight with the situation and the nation's seat of power. Precisely, let's give you some of the news coming from the Aso Rock Villa, the seat of power. For the first time since President Muhammadu Buhari returned from the United Kingdom, where he took care of some medical concerns, he was absent from the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting. Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo presided over the meeting in the State House, Abuja. Thus is the very first council meeting to be held without President Muhammadu Buhari since his return from the UK. The Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, explains the reason behind the President's absence at the meeting.
Clearly, when we came in this morning, Mr. President was not in the chambers, and the Vice President did preside over the council meeting. Understandably, that has sparked a lot of controversies and, agitations in the mind of people. Now, I just want to make this clear. The President is in town. The President is attending to other issues. Mr. President looked at the agenda. It was a very light agenda, and decided that the Vice President should preside. It's not unusual for the kind of interest that has been shown, especially given the fact that Mr. President was away for a while on medical treatment, and it's not. Yes, we're not surprised that. People will be wondering, is it ill again? He's not ill. He's not sick. And I'm sure that later in the day, or by tomorrow morning, he will be back in the office.
Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed. Well, away from that, now to the devastating story of the alleged 24 billion naira 2015 election bribery scandal. It appears Nigerian electoral process have been dealt a huge blow, and a big question on the nation's process of electing its leaders now questioned. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, yesterday announced that 205 of its staff have been suspended and placed on half salaries. INEC says 70 others have also been referred back for further investigation following an investigation by the EFCC. Other investigation by the committee reveals that there was a clear attempt to bribe INEC staff to influence the outcome of the 2015 general elections using an NGO, the West African Network of Election Observers, made up of mainly of retired senior INEC officials, also one former national commissioner, 5 former resident electoral commissioners, one of them now dead, have been referred to the presidency and EFCC for further necessary action. The decision of INEC is coming after the anti-graft agency, the EFCC, says it was investigating about 200 officials of the electoral body for allegedly collecting bribe during the 2015 elections. The commission then also announced its own investigation into the matter to look into the alleged involvement of some INEC employees. About 23.29 billion naira was allegedly disbursed to INEC officials in the 2015 election. The question now, what is the implication of these findings on the outcome of the 2015 crucial election, especially if some offices are discovered been really manipulated, and most importantly, the question on the future of Nigerian elections? Joining me in our Abuja studio tonight to give us more on the report and their findings is the INEC Commission's Director of INEC Voter Education and Publicity, Mr. Oluwole Osazi-Uzi. Many thanks for joining us on the program. Let's begin by getting to know what more you can tell us about the findings of the committee. The involvement of some of the INEC staff, does it have to do only about the general election or state elections or the House or legislative elections? In specifics, what can you tell us about the influence of the manipulations and which elections are involved?
Thank you very much, Sean, for having me. Good evening, Nigerians. Well, it's difficult to say at this moment. What we do know as a fact is that the certain members of the political class did budget large sum of money, and out of that large sum, over 3 billion naira actually came into the hands of our officials, and it ranged from former Rex, former National Commissioner, right down onto poll clerks, ad hoc staff. So the exact purpose of that huge sum, I cannot specifically tell you now, but obviously it was an attempt to subvert the process under the, I would say, mistaken belief that these people can actually compromise the integrity of the process and compromise the elections. So the fact-finding, don't forget, we're doing this a long way, almost 2 years after the elections. But what the Commission decided to do was, upon receipt of the interim report, and it's important to emphasize that it's an interim report involving the 16, 17 states of the Federation, the Commission now decided to call its staff, give them natural justice, due process, and interview them, issue queries to the staff and say, look, there are these allegations against you. What do you have to say about it? And then they were afforded the opportunity of an oral explanation and questions asked and answered. So that was that. And don't forget that originally over 200 were named in the EFCC report. But in the course of our own fact-finding and investigations, we found that certain people were not named in the report, who were maybe referred to by designation or referred to, but going through, we now found that there are up to 80 others. So it's quite a widespread network as to a cesspool of corruption or attempt to subvert the process. But how much effect it actually had on the process is hard to say, but you see how the results of the elections turned out.
In a report that was read yesterday at that press conference in Abuja at the INEC headquarters, majorly the INEC did tell Nigerians about the level of involvement of some of his staff. But INEC is not coming to tell because Nigerians need to know which of these elections are really involved. That's a major one for Nigerians in their psyche right now. Of the involvement of those people that they hold accountable as electoral umpire in this process. If you